And I've kind of just used, okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki, and today's video I'm going to be sharing some tips for getting started with a weight loss or wellness journey. If you enjoyed this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So if you guys don't know, in April of 2020 I decided to start my weight loss journey. I lost 70 pounds in a year, mostly paying attention to the foods that I was eating, tracking with Weight Watchers, portion sizes, stuff like that. And then I started to incorporate exercise about 3 months in. But after a year, I lost 70 pounds and I've been maintaining that loss since. I recently, in the past few months, have gone back onto weight loss mode after being in maintenance for a couple years. And I've kind of just used it as a way to kind of stay focused, get a little bit more on track, and see some of the muscle that I have built. I've been able to lose about 12 pounds since starting up again. And now through the holidays, I kind of just maintained it and I'm back to getting focused again. So I wanted to share some things that really helped me out from the start of my journey and things that I implement again when I'm back to it, like when I switch back to weight loss or I'm back to just like getting on track. These are some of the things that I really make a priority. I know a lot of people are getting started with their journey now with the new year, and so I figured this could be helpful. But even if you are on a journey, you've been consistent with it, maybe some of these tips can help you to get some motivation and keep going. So anyway, the first thing that I want to talk about getting started was the difference between this time and other times when I had tried to lose weight in the past. And the biggest thing for me, I think, was partially my mindset, but also just doing it for the right reasons. In the past, I had always wanted to lose weight because I thought if I was just thinner, if my body was skinnier, that my life would be easy, all my problems would go away. And I just was doing it for the reasons of other people's validation and not like my health and future. So this time around in April 2020, when I started up my journey, I wanted to do it because first of all, I was kind of scared for my health. I had seen a quote that said, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And that quote stuck with me still to this day, but that was one of the leading things that got me to make the decision to start my weight loss journey. So just thinking about it that way and thinking that I get to move, I get to be active, I get to fuel my body with foods, and I want to have a long and healthy future and not worrying so much about how I look on the outside or what other people thought about me, that really just switched things around for me and allowed me to kind of take some pressure off, but also just like do it for the right reasons. It was just like a new motivation. When I made these changes in habits, I was doing it because I really wanted to. I really wanted to be healthier and feel better. And within the first week of just making these choices, I already started to feel so much better, and it was for my health, and it just made it that much easier to stick with it. So I would say starting off doing it for the right reasons is huge. And it's really what has kept me going throughout the years now. And in the past, it was never enough when I just wasn't doing it for the right reasons. Another thing, if you're just starting out, is to not overwhelm yourself, because I feel like that's something that I always used to do. And it was a little bit different this time around because I knew that it wasn't going to be realistic and sustainable if I just like threw so much stuff at me to change. So in the past, I'd be like, okay, I have to drink a gallon of water. I have to get 10,000 steps. I have to eat this many calories. I have to do this. Like all of these changes, when at the time I was getting fast food 1 to 2 times a day. I wasn't getting sleep. I wasn't taking care of any of those things. And I thought I was going to be able to just flip and do all of them in a day. And when I failed, because I did fail, because it was too much to ask of myself to just like make all these changes at once, then I just felt worse and I just went more in the opposite direction. Not overwhelming yourself with all these changes, taking some time to kind of educate yourself on what is going to be beneficial. And I know it's hard. There's so much information out there, but for me, I just kind of focused on the little things like portion sizes. Like, what is a proper portion size of meat? What is the right serving size? Like, when I read the nutrition label, I'm not actually even having that portion. Like, it was pointless for me to ever read nutrition labels if I was just like eating straight out of the box and stuff. So I started to pay a little bit more attention to that. Like I mentioned, I started tracking with Weight Watchers. In the past, calories never worked for me because it was just overwhelming to track every ingredient that I ate. And I realized with Weight Watchers, not tracking 0-point foods, my meals, it would be like 2 or 3 ingredients that I had to track. And when I was working at the bakery full time, when I first started Weight Watchers and doing my cookie business, I was still very, very, very tight on time and just trying to take advantage of every little thing that I could do to help myself. And so only having to track a couple things per meal really did make it easier for me and more sustainable. And that's why I was able to stick with it. But I really did try to just start out with the basics. I got myself a food scale. I wanted to learn portion sizes. I wanted to learn what was protein. And that wasn't even something that I like focused on as much in the beginning. In the beginning, it was more just like my points, which is more so like was calories for me. But as I continued, as I started lifting weights at the gym, that's when I continued to just educate myself on protein and my protein needs and fiber, because I realized the more protein you have, the more fiber you need to help digest that protein. And so I've just made it a learning experience along the way, but not overwhelmed myself with too much info, too many changes at once. And again, I always say this, but just take it a day at a time. And that's really what I did. And that's what made it possible for me this time versus all the times in the past. When I was starting out, I would just expect so much for myself, and it was just not realistic. It was kind of ridiculous. And finally realizing it didn't have to be like that really did take some pressure off and allowed me to stick with it. Another thing that I always talk about that I did at the start of my journey that was different from any time in the past, and I think it's what really helped me stick with it, was rewarding myself for consistency. Like I said, I'd overwhelm myself when I wanted to lose weight. I'd put so much pressure on myself. I would always set a number. So it'd be like, I need to lose 30 pounds in a month. And after the first week, if I wasn't down 10 pounds, I was freaking out because I thought I wasn't gonna hit my goal. And then I would just, again, resort back to my old ways and just go further in the opposite direction, not making any progress. If anything, I'd gain weight. And it was because I was just putting so much pressure on myself, and it just wasn't even like a realistic thing. So this time around, I decided, instead of picking a number that I have to hit by the end of the month when I get on the scale, I can't control that. Even if I'm doing every single thing right, there's still a chance that I'll get on that scale and it won't be 30 pounds down by the end of the month. But I can control if I track every day. If I track my meals every day, if I get to the end of the day and I didn't track them, that is on me to have done it, because it was something that I set for myself to do every single day, making that my goal consistently for a month. Because I was tracking, I was in my points, I was paying attention to portions more than I ever had in the past. And so I was starting to lose weight because I was actually doing the right things, but it didn't feel like that was like the pressure of it. Like it felt like it was just in my control to track my food, and then it was working because I was tracking my food. And that helped me so much. At the end of the first month, I rewarded myself because I did 30 days straight of tracking, and I got myself a foot massager that I really wanted. I did something for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and it helped me so much. It was so motivating, and it felt so good that I could control it. It wasn't something that I could do everything right and it could still go wrong. I would track every day, and that meant I did it and I got the reward. So that really helped me, and it led to huge results because it was a lot less pressure and it was still doing the right things. It just didn't feel like as much pressure to do them. Okay, another thing I want to talk about when you're getting started with a weight loss journey is to just make things as easy as possible for you to stay consistent. So when you're just making things harder on yourself, you're expecting too much, kind of like I said, or even just doing the things that aren't going to work for you, setting up workouts that aren't going to work for you or stuff like that, it just is going to be so much harder for you to stay consistent with those habits every single day. I do things every day, every week that make it a little bit easier for me to stay consistent when I'm on maintenance mode, when I'm on weight loss mode. And these are some of the things that I do. So first of all, you can track ahead. This is something I think Adam actually uses a little bit more than me, but if you're tracking with Weight Watchers, MyFitnessPal, any type of food tracking that you do, if that's what you are doing to get to your goals, tracking ahead of time can be really helpful, especially if you know what you're going to be having. Like Adam will pack his breakfast and lunch for work the day before, and while he's packing it, he just tracks it all. And then he doesn't have to worry about it the next day. He already knows how many points he has for dinner. And it's just a helpful little tip to kind of pre-track your meals if you know what you're going to have. If you have the same breakfast every day, just go ahead and pre-track it or pre-track the points. Like it just takes one more step out of the way that you have to do. Again, that makes it easier to stay consistent over time. Another thing I do is I ingredient prep. So I share that with you guys a lot. I do veggie mix so that I can add vegetables to different meals. I prep turkey burgers sometimes, 2 ingredient dopitas, rice. I sometimes even just like wash grapes and have them ready in a bowl so that I can easily portion them out for snacks and for Adam to take to work and stuff. So prepping ingredients instead of full meals, because in the past I would try to do meal prep. I have like pictures in my Snapchat memories and stuff when Adam and I would try to do this huge meal prep. I would spend hours in a day prepping all these meals, and then we'd stick them in the fridge and I would not want to eat them. Like the next day already, I was already burned out. I didn't want to eat them. I didn't want to have the reheated meal. Like I just struggled so much with it. I don't know why. I was just like really stubborn about it and I just never enjoyed it. And I would waste so much time doing it and then not want the meals. So this time around, I thought about it more in like a practical way for me personally with how I like to do things. And I really like to just throw together quick and easy meals with ingredients that I have. So I, like I said, will have some veggie mix, some rice, a turkey burger. And with that alone, I could put it together, make a rice bowl that has some protein and vegetables and a carb, and it keeps me full. It's low point, and it's easy to just like add some little things. If I want to add sauce or extra lettuce or something like that, I can add stuff to it. But having ingredients prep to make meals makes it so much easier for me to stay consistent and on track. And I think it just takes away, again, more decisions that you have to make. So if you already have the veggies in there, then I already know I don't need to worry about adding a vegetable to this meal. I've already got my veggie mix. Ingredient prepping was something that was so game changing for me. If meal prepping works for you, definitely take advantage of that. But for me, it just wasn't something that worked. And kind of going off of that, like I said, another way that I stay consistent with my choices when it comes to eating and stuff is just keeping the meals simple, not getting a recipe that has like a bunch of ingredients and steps and takes a long time. That just never worked for me, because in the past I would try to, but it was so overwhelming to me that I realized this is how I was. Even when I wasn't paying attention to my weight and my health and stuff, I just kind of like to throw things together quickly and easily. And that's what I've kind of adapted with the healthier ingredients that we like to eat now. So I'll go in the kitchen, see what I have, see what vegetable I need to use up or something. If I don't have veggie mix made, maybe I'll have some mushrooms I can cook up or something. And I'll just try to do it quick and easy, throw together a meal, whether it's like a sandwich, a wrap, a bowl, a pizza, pasta. There's so many different things that if you have some stuff ready, you can keep meals simple and easy. And I always try to focus on 0 point foods first, which if you follow Weight Watchers, 0 point foods, you don't have to count the points for them. So technically you can have as much of them as you want. I always start with the normal portions unless it's like a vegetable usually, but I try to build my meals around them. So I try to pick like a 0 point protein usually, and then 1 or 2 vegetables that are 0 points. And then I start to add in the stuff that has points. So maybe it's like a sauce or a cheese or a bread or pasta or rice or something. Then I add that stuff in after, all by the portion size as well. But I always try to build it up more with the 0 point foods first, so I can get it more filling and kind of hit my goals for protein, fiber, all of that stuff first. Another thing that helps me to stay consistent is by not restricting foods. I've struggled with binge eating in the past. I just struggle with wanting something when I can't have it. And so when I restrict certain foods or like food groups, it does not go well for me, because that is all I crave. There would be times where I would try to cut out a bunch of everything and it just never lasted. Maybe I'd last a couple days and I didn't even feel good like restricting all those things because I felt restricted. But then the second that I gave up because I would never last that long, I would just binge all of those things and then lose all my progress and even more. Really making sure to just have balance. It's not always easy. I do need to make sure that I enjoy these things in moderation. But again, that just comes with the discipline of making sure I have proper portion sizes and stuff. And I can still enjoy those things in moderation. Not cutting them out fully allows me to have them here and there now and then and not feel those like feelings where I just want them, and then I don't binge and I don't crave them the way that I used to. So not restricting anything helps me to stay consistent in the long run and just having balance. It's also made it easier for me by having substitutes that I like. So ranch dressing I love, and I would just use like a big portion of it. And so I wanted to find a lower point option that I could still even have a decent sized portion. Although now I usually do like 1 to 2 tablespoons when it comes to sauce servings and stuff. I'm much more aware of it because it does just make me feel better and helps me stick to my goals. But finding some lower point options like the Bolt House ranch dressings that I can have now, and I don't feel like I'm missing out not having ranch. It really does like satisfy that craving, but it's a better option for me being a yogurt dressing. And I've done that with so many other things, even just like switching out protein pasta or switching out regular bacon for center cut bacon, which is lower points, or reduced fat sliced cheese versus regular, like little things like that I don't even notice that much, but they save me some points or save me some calories here and there, or maybe they have more protein or fiber. So it's just foods that are substitutes that are more likely to help me hit my goals, but they're close enough to the regular thing that I don't feel like I'm missing out. So that makes it a little bit easier for me to stick with it because I don't feel like restricted. I don't feel like I'm missing out on certain foods that I like. And then the last thing that I do to just make it easy for me to stay consistent, and it's not easy, but easier to stay consistent, is that I just make it fun. I make it a lifestyle that I enjoy. I do the things that I like and I don't do the things that I don't like, or I eat the things I like, I don't eat the things I don't like. That was something in the past that I didn't realize I could kind of like have the freedom to do, which it kind of sounds ridiculous, but I thought that in order to have a healthy, fit body, I needed to only eat chicken breasts with peppers and I needed to run every single day and do burpees. Like that in my head was what I genuinely thought I had to do to have success with weight loss and have success with just improving my health. And when I finally realized that I could do the things I like, instead of running, I could rollerblade or I can lift weights. Or I can eat the chicken, but I can still have it with some other things. I can add things to it to make it more appetizing to me and enjoyable. And again, sustainable in the long run. I can turn it into a nice filling bowl with some veggies and stuff like that and some rice. So making it a lifestyle I enjoy just makes the choices that I have to make a little bit easier to make. Okay, those are just some things that really help me to stay on track with being consistent. A few other things though, if you're just getting started with your weight loss journey or wellness journey, fitness journey, any of these things, is to take pictures, because having progress pictures has been one of the most helpful things for me. And when I show my before pictures, I never imagined I would share those with anyone else. I thought they were just gonna be for me. I had taken so many before pictures in the past when I wanted to lose weight, and I never got to have an after to them because I just never stuck with it. And what I did is I just saved them in my phone, in my hidden folder. I talk about this all the time. That's why I finally didn't delete them. I kept them, and I was able to use them to reference back, because in the iPhone you have a hidden folder that you can put them in, and that way I didn't have to worry about anyone finding them on my phone. But taking progress pictures, I highly recommend at the start of your journey, even in different clothes, because I did one in like a swimsuit, a sports bra, a dress, like different things that I wanted to see how they fit on me as I continued to build muscle and lose weight. It was something that really just was motivating to me in the beginning, and I'm just really glad I have those before pictures. And even though I never thought I would share them, like you can tell by my face in them, it's honestly embarrassing every time I do, but I know how much it does help, and I know how much it helps me even to see them, so I'm glad I took them. And it's tough to take them in the start, but it is definitely worth it. Another thing with that, taking videos, I wish I would have taken more before videos. I didn't really take any. Taking measurements I didn't take, but I highly recommend that as well. Paying attention to even like your clothing size. It's nice to like see as you go down in sizes and stuff. It's a nice non-scale victory to celebrate along the way. So those things I think are really important to just like stay motivated throughout your journey, because there are going to be times when the scale doesn't reflect the progress that you're making, and it's important to not let that get in your head. Going along with that, another thing that I want to say when you're starting your journey is to not focus too much on that number. And I know it's easier said than done. I weighed in every single week when I started my journey. I would record it in the Weight Watchers app, and there were times where the scale wouldn't move, the scale would go up, or it would only be like 0.1 of a loss. And I still got through those weeks and just kept going, because I realized that it wasn't always reflecting my progress. It didn't really make sense that every Tuesday I stepped on the scale, it would be like a perfect increment down or something. Like I kind of thought about that in my head and realized like it's more important to kind of focus on how I'm feeling and focus on some other things. It is a nice measurement to have along the way. Of course, I wanted to know my starting weight and where I'm at now, and I still even use it. Now that I'm back in weight loss, I usually am weighing once a week again, but when I was on maintenance, it would be 1 to 2 times a month, if that. And it was because I was just focusing so much on feeling better and building muscle and making progress in the gym and looking at my progress pictures and how clothes fit. And all of those things really are more important. And it's hard to remember in the beginning when you're focused on losing weight, you're focused on what the scale says, because that's like the way to measure it. But just remember that and keep that in mind, that the scale doesn't always reflect the whole story. It doesn't really reflect all your progress, especially if you are working out and building muscle. That was when I really started to notice the difference and had to kind of separate the two and not get too caught up on that number. Okay, now the last thing, I know I mentioned not overwhelming yourself, not doing too much. The thing that comes to mind, which there's nothing wrong with the 75 hard, but I do think that if you're just like starting out a weight loss journey, that is very like restrictive, and it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to get all of those things done. If I was first starting out in April 2020 and I did the 75 hard, I would have probably lasted like 2 days and just not been able to stick with it, because again, it's so many big changes that I would have been making at once. So when it comes to that, you don't want to overwhelm yourself too much, but you do want to make sure you're not neglecting certain aspects of your life, because there's certain things that I realized are just as important for weight loss and you might not fully think about them. So those things that you need to make sure you're prioritizing as well are sleep, water, and your mental health and mindset. And with sleep, that's something that I feel like I've learned just like throughout my journey even more how important it is. And like even in the past few months, I've really realized how much extra sleep and rest can do for you. And it's really been paying off for me. It's been making me just like feel so much better, have more energy and everything. So that's something that's really important. You do not want to neglect your sleep. And that was something that as I started my weight loss journey, I definitely improved, because I was at the time just overworking myself, spreading myself too thin, and not getting any sleep. So that was a huge improvement I made right away. And I know that it was part of the reason I started feeling better and just being able to stick with my weight loss journey. Also making sure you drink enough water and stay hydrated. And again, you don't have to set some crazy goal for yourself that's going to be unrealistic and then just kind of cause you to go the opposite way, because that's kind of what I would do. Even getting one of those water bottles that can kind of like remind you to just drink your water. That's what I did at the start of my weight loss, and it actually really helped me. And it was like the one that has a certain time and you drink a certain amount by the certain time. Like that little guideline helped me. I would do little things like when I was working for a long time, I knew that that was the time I struggled the most to drink water. So I would set myself an hour timer, and every time it went off, I would drink some water and set it again. And then I would go back to work, it would go off, I would drink water. And it was just like little reminders to keep drinking the water. And I wasn't going for a certain amount or anything all the time, but it was just like that reminder to keep it going, because little small efforts really do add up to huge results. And that's something that I've definitely learned throughout my journey. And it is so important, because even with like workouts, there are times when I just do not feel it and I don't want to go, but I know that I should. It's not like I just need rest. I'm not too sore or anything. I just like don't want to get out of bed in the morning. And those days when I push myself, and even if it's not the best workout, that is when I'm getting the most results. Just getting myself to do it, to stay consistent. And it's just really important to still put in those little efforts, because they really do add up. The last thing, like I said, is with your mental health. I think that that is so important. That's something that at the start of my journey, I made a huge change with my mindset, doing it for myself, my health, and realizing that I deserved it, that I could do it. All of those things I had to put a lot of work into with my mental health, but it paid off so much. And to this day, it's still something I work on. I'm constantly working to make my mindset more positive. It is definitely tough when there's challenges thrown at you and stuff like that. But when it comes to a weight loss journey or a wellness or fitness journey, your mental health is so important. And I realized that if I neglected it, it was just going to lead me back to my old ways. So I started to work on it. I started to do more journaling. And even now I'm trying to focus more on gratitude journaling, because I know how much it helps my mental health. Just not pushing off the feelings that I was feeling, because overall, I wanted to feel better all around. I didn't just want to lose weight. I was focused on my overall health. Overall, I just think that it's really important to do what works best for you and to find what works best for you. And I feel like that's like a lot of what the start of your journey is, and how it was for me, was just finding the things that worked for me. And of course, you can get inspiration and ideas from people online, and some things I would try and they wouldn't work for me, and some things I would try and they did, and that's what stuck. And it's even gone that way with trying different foods and trying to find lower point snack options and meals that I actually want to have again and stuff. It's just important to find what works best for you and what is realistic for you to stay consistent with, to make this sustainable, because this isn't a quick fix. And if you want to do it in a healthy way and you want sustainable weight loss, it's important to make it a lifestyle and make it your everyday routine, the choices that you make every day. So the easier you make that for yourself, the easier it's going to be to actually stick with it. So those are just some of the things that have really helped me when I'm starting out my journey, or even like now, like I said, now that I'm back to getting a little bit more focused. We got through the holidays. I was feeling really good being back in weight loss mode. And I would say the month of December, I just kind of was just trying to get through it because there was so much going on, which is totally fine. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready and motivated now to just get back to my goals, get back to working hard in the gym, working hard in the kitchen, and just feeling good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.